All right, everybody. I just got pretty damn passionate there. I gotta say, I almost popped the gasket. I got a little heated. But in all seriousness, you fans out there that are huge fans of Conor McGregor, I would throw myself in there. I honestly would. I really thought this guy was going to do what he said he was going to do, conquer the divisions, become the champion, defend the titles, bring the UFC to an all-time high level, bring the sport to a new level, and he hasn't done that. I'm sorry. He has not done that. He has done the exact opposite of that by diminishing the titles, not defending either title, and being stripped of both titles that he won, according to Dana White. So it's a little disappointing for me, and it's a little frustrating because I come from an era of watching this sport where the champions defended their titles. They fought the best, and that's why I think George St. Pierre is the greatest of all time. Lost 2 fights, but avenged them both with resounding victories. Took a 4-year layoff, came back in a weight class he never fought in, and defeated the champion of that weight class, who was a long-time middleweight, one of the toughest SOBs the UFC has ever seen, wins 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. That, to me, is better than anything. I can't point to any other fighter and say that person is better than GSP. Especially not Conor, a guy that won 2 titles in 2 different weight classes, but was stripped of both. I just can't. So it wasn't even necessarily about GSP. It was more about this whole entire situation with Max Holloway and Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor. I had to take a drink of water there. So realistically, we're talking about this situation with Khabib, with Tony, with Khabib and Max, but I really want to focus on Tony because I feel bad for him. I honestly do. Knowing that this was probably the biggest fight of his life, knowing that he was set to make millions of dollars in this fight, and loses the opportunity to make that money, loses a lot in terms of this fight. This fight could potentially never happen again. In the words of Dana White, he has no interest, hell no, in making this fight again, which I think that's sad. And I don't blame him because it's the 4th time that this has happened. But in terms of Khabib versus Tony not coming to fruition, I don't blame him for that. But just in terms of the fans really want to see this fight. And how can you rob the fans of it if both of these fighters continue to fight and they continue to win? It's only a matter of time that these fighters fight each other. So that's my take on that. My take on another topic, Tony Ferguson, now, what is he? The one-time interim champion at 155 pounds? Because not making this fight basically means that in the interim, Tony Ferguson from October till now was the champion, interim champion. Was never the real champion, obviously, with Conor until Conor was stripped. Dana said as soon as a punch is thrown between Tony and Khabib, that person, would become, whoever wins that fight will become the champion. And Conor would be stripped. Now that Tony's out of the picture, the interim title would definitely be vacated, be stripped, or just null and void. And now we have a situation where Khabib and Max, whoever throws the first punch, as soon as the first punch is thrown in that fight, will become the official champion. My thing is this. We don't know when Conor McGregor is coming back. We just don't know. There is still a realistic shot that Khabib and Tony could actually still get made. The reason I say that is because if Khabib beats Max Holloway, and I say if because Max Holloway is the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC featherweight champion. He's something that Khabib is not. Although Khabib is undefeated, he's not a champion yet. He's something that Khabib is not. So this fight, I think, even on 6 days' notice, it could go either way. It's a 50-50 fight. Khabib beats Max Holloway. Let's just say he beats Max Holloway. Hypothetically, Khabib wins. which I think he's supposed to be quite honest. But let's just say Khabib wins. Khabib has talked about making Conor McGregor earn the right to fight for that title again, which he is more than obligated to do, especially if he is the actual champion and Conor is not stripped of that title. Conor would then be forced to fight someone else, maybe Tony or Max Holloway. And then the winner of the Khabib fight, which would be Khabib, the winner of Conor versus Max would then fight the winner of Khabib versus Tony. Then Khabib would fight Tony in that situation. Khabib could say, well, I'm the champ now, but I still want to fight you. I still want to take that shot. Another thing that really interests me is that Khabib talked about fighting George St. Pierre, which that would be a fight. They match up very well against each other. But who knows if GSP's coming back. But I think the likelihood that Khabib fights Tony, although Dana White said it's not going to happen, I think the likelihood is likely that it could happen because Khabib could beat Max and then just say to Tony, you're next. I want to fight you next. I want you to be my first title defense. And they could just say to hell with Conor. Who needs him? They've made it this far without him. The company is still in existence. All these fans think that Conor is the UFC and that they can't survive without him. They're still trucking along. They're still making billions of dollars. They're still doing okay. Are pay-per-view sales not where they need to be? Sure, but I would equate that to not necessarily promoting the fighters, not pushing them in the right way, and or not pushing them at all. What I mean by that is certain matchups get announced, and you really scratch your head. You really say, what the hell? And I'm going to get to that next, but in the next episode, but there's matchups out there that you scratch your head, you say, what the hell? And how is this going to benefit the UFC? It just doesn't make sense, whether it's due to ignoring rankings or what would be next for the next fighter. You think to yourself in your head after you watch them fight, and then they announce their next fight, and you're like, this wasn't the next guy I thought they'd fight. Not even close. So there's a lot to take in there in terms of that. And I think Tony versus Khabib could realistically happen. I still think there's hope. There's still hope. And I might be crazy saying that. This fight has been canceled 4 separate times. I get that. It's the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl of fights. And it hasn't happened. I get it. But I still think there's a chance. If Khabib beats Max and is the actual 155-pound champion, like Dana White says he'd be, then Khabib would pick his next opponent. And his next opponent would be Tony. If Conor has no interest in coming back. And it's not that Conor is like 300 pounds and he's heavily overweight and he's lived the Rocky III champ lifestyle. In the beginning of Rocky III where he's in the commercials and he's on Sesame Street. We are seeing that a little bit. He's been in commercials. He's in Burger King, the Spicy McChicken or whatever the hell it's called. Spicy McChicken. But Spicy Chicken Sandwich, he's in that commercial. He's doing his chip and dip commercials. Make no mistake about it. But he's training. It's not like he's not doing anything. And that is what makes this frustrating. It's not that he's not doing anything in terms of training. He's not just getting fat. But he's not talking. He's not saying when he's going to come back. And that is very annoying. Very annoying, to say the least, as a UFC fan. Or as a mixed martial arts writer. So, a lot to take in there, and really, I think that there's still a chance. Was it right that the UFC stripped Tony Ferguson of that interim title? The interim title, the only reason he had the title was because he beat Kevin Lee, who was not the champion. The interim tag was only really held until he fought Habib. The moment he fought Habib, it would change to him fighting for the official title, and the interim title was going to be null and voided. You got hurt, Tony, and apparently Tony was wearing sunglasses inside, which I've seen him do a lot throughout the years. I've always wondered, always thought, why does this guy do that? Why does he wear sunglasses inside? I've heard that he has eye issues. I've heard all sorts of things. But I've always thought that was strange. Lo and behold, he's wearing sunglasses inside a Fox studio and trips over a wire and tears his knee. I mean, freak things happen to these fighters. I don't know how to explain it, but freak things happen. Freak things happen to all athletes. There's a guy that the Buffalo Bills had for a little while. His name was Kevin Cobb. Why they had him, I have no idea. But they signed Kevin Cobb. He slipped on a rubber mat, hit his head, and his career was over. Over. Career done. That happened. So I feel bad for Tony. He lost millions. He got taken out of the fight that was the biggest fight of his career, and I really do believe him when he says that he would have fought with a bum knee. I really believe him. I really do. But when a doctor is not clearing you to fight, and a doctor is not clearing you to do anything, you are not going to be doing anything. Doctors have the ultimate say in what you do when you're an athlete. So I feel really bad for Tony that he's going to miss this opportunity. This is the biggest fight in MMA, and it's gone. It's gone in his career. It's on to Max Holloway. Max Holloway has the chance to do something really, really special, legacy-wise, to really cement it as one of the best ever. Habib, same thing, has the opportunity to do something really, really, really special. And this fight is going to be bonkers. This fight, Habib and Max are the two completely opposite fighters, and opposites attract. That's what they say. So I am just so excited for this fight. I cannot wait till Saturday. I cannot wait to see Rose Namajunas versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I just can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. So for a short notice fight, 6 days notice, I'm game. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take. Take care.